Scarlet Trillia to talk about the wild world of Tantra, Yoga, Vedic astrology, and Ayurveda. How are you today, Scarlet?
I'm good. I'm good.
Good,
Yeah, I know we've been a
good.
little tired on
Yeah,
our
we've
recent
we've lacked
episodes.
pep.
We've lacked pep, but you know what? I think that actually is a really good lead in to the topic for today's
Mhm,
episode because you
mhm.
can't be peppy all the time,
That's right.
and we're we're entering a season of the year that isn't known for peppiness. It's the turning inward time, and that's kind of how I feel. Like I
Me
need to have,
too.
I'm getting ready to hibernate. And
Hmm.
actually, there's been a squirrel in my garden every day who is clearly also preparing for hibernation, and it's really cute. It's like,
Aw.
he's like
Good,
really getting in his final work before.
good namitta or
Yeah, right?
omen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
hmm so I was proposing that we talk a little bit about the concept of debilitation, which is kind of how I
Mm.
feel right
Hmm.
now.
Yeah.
We have Venus has entered its debilitation state, and Sun is on the
Hmm.
way to debilitation.
Yep.
And I think we've brushed on this subject, and we've certainly talked about exaltation.
Hmm.
Um, but I think it's a particularly beautiful topic as we also
Hmm.
prepare for the festival of Diwali.
Yes, what a lovely thing to talk about. So, debilitation is this placement in the chart where every planet has a point of debilitation, and it's where that planet just doesn't do very well. It's unable to express or has more difficulty expressing its highest qualities.
Yeah. And astronomically speaking,
Mhm.
this is the place in the sky where that planet has the least ability to reflect the light of the sun, and therefore is the least visible to the human eye from Earth. The sun itself can also become debilitated, and it's the time of the year when the sun is at its weakest, and we
Mhm.
experience that. You know, it's when the sun gets debilitated and it starts to get cold in the northern hemisphere, and the days are getting short, and the light
Mhm.
is getting dim, and often it
Mhm.
is overcast, which isn't astronomical, but we simply are not experiencing a lot of light and warmth during the sun's debilitation period. When Venus is debilitated, and then, you know, we can talk astrologically, as you were starting to
Mhm.
mention, how that affects us. But I wanted to preface it with that because these sound like abstract concepts, but it's truly when we talk about exaltation and debilitation, we're truly
Mhm.
talking about light versus
Light and
gravity,
dark.
light and dark,
Right. Uh-huh.
versus the gravity that a planet gains when it's in its
Mm.
own comfortable house or
Mhm.
sign.
Mhm.
And this time of year, just to kind of keep going with, you know, we haven't gotten all the way into the theme, but Halloween and All Hallows
Yes.
Eve and Day of the
Yes.
Dead and all of these
Yep.
festivals that go take us into
Mhm.
the underworld and into the darks
Yep.
and depths, these all
Yep.
occur during the month, approximate month that the sun is in its debilitation time.
Correct. Yes.
And
Because it's a trip to the underworld, which
yes,
very much relates to Venus's debilitation.
yes. And Venus is often also debilitated during the sun's debilitation period. It's not
Yes.
a strict correlation, but they move very close together. So
Hmm.
it will occur within the same time frame. Venus is a
Yes.
few degrees into Virgo now, and the sun is
Yep.
just about to enter Libra. So yeah, it's
Which is, we should just state, uh, Virgo is where Venus gets her debilitation,
yes.
and Libra is where the Sun gets his debilitation.
Yes, and the point of debilitation is always directly opposite the point of exaltation.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
and I think in our season one of this podcast, Venus was experiencing exaltation in Pisces, and
Uh-huh.
we were talking about themes of pure devotion.
That's right.
Whereas in Pisces where that's very possible. In Virgo is a sign of analysis, and Venus is about love and matters of the heart, and
Yeah.
and in the sign of Virgo, the heart is trying to be logical, which
That's
doesn't
right.
make any sense.
And actually, I was just looking for this reference. I'll grab it out in a second. But Dr. David Frowley, in his book on Ayurveda and Vedic astrology, he gives a very interesting analysis of the chakra system and points of exaltation and debilitation. So Venus, who rules over the heart, gets her exaltation in the sacral chakra in Pisces. It's really quite beautiful. And she gets her debilitation in the throat because, like, it's it's like Venus in Virgo is like the what is this relationship conversation,
Totally.
and that kind of analysis, while it may be important, I don't know, is not this juicy feeling of love and sacral chakra and sexuality and sensuality, which is where Venus gets her exaltation. And actually, this work actually presents a very beautiful analysis of the points of debilitation and exaltation in relationship to Kundalini and its movement and the chakras, right? So the sun, who is the right petal or who resides in its own place in the right petal of the third eye, gets debilitated actually in the heart, right? Because we can't have pure insight and vision if we're in the heart space. It colors over everything. We can't clearly see the people who we love in many ways, right?
Yeah, and for the sun, so sun gets exalted in Aries, which is the
Yes.
natural first house of like, it's me, let's go, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do this, and that's the sun's character to an
Yeah.
exalted degree. Libra is
Yeah.
the natural house of other people, and the
Right.
sun is like, what do you mean other
Yeah.
people? I'm in the
Right.
spotlight. It's about
Yes,
me.
exactly. It's
You
about me.
want-
Ego, ego, ego.
Yeah.
Which is a wonderful thing. Like many actors and actresses have the sun in this placement because you have to have. There are certain places and cases where you really need a big ego, right? Actually, debilitated sun is a placement that will allow for great spiritual development. And people with debilitated sun are often like amazing meditators. I don't know if we can qualify meditators, very regular meditators and very dedicated to their meditation because their ego has to have another vehicle because it's in debilitation.
Yeah, and so something to think about just from, and I'm trying to bring up cultural references that we understand in the West, but
Yeah.
this is when the sun is debilitated, and that's approximately right now, October into November. We light candles, jack-o'-lanterns,
Yes.
and altars, and
Yes.
even the lights, or traditionally they would have been candles or lamps inside the home, and it's a reminder that the light is not gone. It's just not in the sky. It's inside of the heart.
Yeah, yeah. And we're coming to Diwali, which is literally the festival of light. Right? And there's a lot to say about Diwali, but that's what it celebrates, is the return of the light, or not just the return of the light, the sustenance of light through the darkness.
It's actually very beautiful.
It is very beautiful. It's not
it's
actually very
very-
beautiful. It is very
It's
beautiful.
very beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think what the silver lining or beauty of a debilitated Venus experience might be. That's a little bit that we don't have as clear
Grab
of
this book.
a cultural reference. Although I will say that Venus debilitation often coincides with the we were talking recently about Navratri and the 9 nights of the goddess and this lunar fortnight related to the goddess principle is kind of embodied in Venus's energy. And I wonder if some of the roots of that festival started to kind of take form when Venus debilitation was being experienced at that time of year. I don't know. That's not a
Maybe.
direct calculation, but it's
Sure.
correlates often.
We can know that Venus was of utmost importance to the ancients in many cultures. And that this morning star, who then becomes the evening star, and evening star that then becomes the morning star, is of utmost importance to the mythology and the agricultural calendar of many ancient people. And like almost as important, if not more important, than the sun and the moon. And there is a relationship between Venus's descent, when she literally transforms from evening star to morning star, and we don't see Venus for a while. She goes underground, and this is very much related to the myth of Persephone and her journey into the underworld and her journey, and of course, to the myth of Inanna and her journey into the underworld, where she casts off 7 veils and she gets hung upon a hook, and then she's reborn. And this is one of the oldest recorded mythic cycles in the world, from Sumer.
Lovely. I also want to mention that, and I have to acknowledge that I'm not looking at a chart or actually calculating this very well, but I don't believe that any other planet in its transit through the zodiac goes from a debilitated state directly back into a comfortable state, whereas Venus experiences what we call starvation as she moves through Cancer, then Leo, then into debilitation in Virgo, then she gets to Libra, to a place where she really refines herself and brings us back into loving relationships and back into the heart and back into acknowledgement of love in our lives. Other planets like Jupiter goes from own house Sagittarius into debilitated state in Capricorn. That's kind of the reverse. But I think Venus is the only one who kind of goes through this like reckoning through the—
I believe so.
And then gets home and it like sits back on the couch like, woo, what a trip, but I'm here now. And there's something kind of lovely about that, where it's almost like if you want to really have, Venus in Libra is like, that's lovely, right? And I think if you want to reach that kind of feeling in your life, it is a bit of a journey. You don't just walk into a perfect relationship and expect it to just be easy. You kind of have to go dark and really analyze yourself, in Mercury's energy. And Venus in Virgo is like the psychological reckoning of like, what is limiting my ability to love purely, almost, which is why it's so difficult.
And I think that, Venus is in debilitation is really humbling. This is like, this is Venus in debilitation is if every Instagram influencer could no longer use filters.
Totally. Okay, I got to tell you about my dream. So I
bring it.
I didn't want to tell you because I wanted it to be fresh for the podcast. So first of all, I think it's really funny because they're always, by the way, probably not a lot of people are seeing the video, but there's like a really intense light stream shining into like across my face, which is kind of feels relevant to this conversation about light and dark. It's like piercing my third eye. So I was laughing because, they're like, pay extra attention to your dreams at this time. Signs and symbols and truths will be revealed. And so I had this dream. The only thing I remember about my dream from last night, this is such a perfect Venus debilitation story. I was like, I think I need a new look. I'm going to cut my own hair.
Oh, yeah, you said that.
And the haircut was so bad. And if you ever cut your own hair and you kind of like start, you're like, well, I guess I should try and even it out.
I'm in for it now.
Oh, this side's shorter than that side. I wanted it to be asymmetrical. Bangs might look good. What is the symbolic meaning of this dream because I'm pretty sure I just have a really bad haircut now. And that's
This is Venus debilitation
this is Venus
all over
debilitation.
the place.
This
right?
is not a time really for a makeover.
No, this
no,
is not
this
a
is
time
not the
for a
time for a
makeover.
makeover.
Well, you
It
can
is-
try, but it's not going to go
yeah.
that well.
Definitely don't cut your own hair. Maybe I had that dream to warn everybody. If you're thinking about doing some DIY beauty interventions on yourself, just don't do that. Don't get a tattoo. Don't get a
No.
piercing.
No.
Don't get a stylist. This is not the time. It's not the time.
This
And,
is not the time at all.
No. I was also thinking, like, what would the fashion pick be? And
Oh, I've got a movie. Imagine this. I've got a movie.
Okay, do it. Oh,
Ready?
You got a movie. It's in the
I actually always.
Is it more Chiba? The Matrix? Like, what are our top? What's the movie? Have we heard
Ready?
of it? Okay.
Ready? We have it. It's Lost in Translation,
Oh, interesting.
right? Where they're like, it's like this deep connection, but it's like overanalyzed and it's yearning, and they like never actually develop anything romantic, but they also are in love with each other, and it's this disconnect and like beautiful, wistful, partial thing that happens, right? And that's a bit Venus debilitated.
That's a good pick.
Thank
That's a
you.
great pick.
I thought of a movie.
I like that. I feel like the music pick, I'll come back to my fashion pick. I feel like the music pick is like this AI music that's coming out where people are like, here's a good idea, computer, make the music, and it's like has
Right.
no heart and soul in it because it's
Yeah,
made
yeah.
by a computer. I mean, obviously the person who had the idea has a heart and has a soul, but there's something that's a little bit like basic about it or something. I don't know,
Right.
It's hard to
It's just
explain.
kind of
Yeah.
it lacks the human genius and spirit. It's too clean, right? Because it's too clean and too perfect, right? Because Virgo is like spreadsheets, and it's like our gut health, and it's like quietly judgmental. Right? And it's like beige color, and it's like doing taxes in bed with your partner. It's just like not at all.
Yeah, it's not sexy. The fashion pick, this is interesting, because you wouldn't actually pick this, but what came through as kind of archetypal for this placement is like a person who logically understands what is stylish or in fashion,
Yep.
and they make the purchases, like they buy all the perfect things,
Yeah.
but they're not tailored correctly, or they don't actually flatter that person's figure.
Right.
So it's like you're like, oh, this designer is fashionable, I bought it, but you're not actually wearing it with grace.
Yeah.
It's something like that, where it's a good idea because this is a thoughtful sign, but it's not really flowing or flattering.
And also I was thinking about, you remember the Olsen twins? I remember how one of them, or maybe both of them, would dress kind of like disheveled person without house fashion and kind of made that a thing. They were the first ones, like, they'd wear like big chunky socks with Birkenstocks and like a big oversized sweater and like a huge skirt. And that was like and that became a fashion, but it's also kind of like feral fashion or anti-fashion, but it's not punk. Like, it's just kind of like schlubby.
Yeah, for example, I know a lot of Americans don't iron. I iron my clothes because the water is
Oh,
really
I
hard.
do as well.
And where I am, the water is really hard, and we have these really high spin front loading washing machines. So your clothes are really rumpled up. So I'll often iron them, but in this energy, I'm like, no. I'm just gonna wear these wrinkly, baggy jeans because whatever. And like, color coordination's a little off. It's just not a stylish, there is, yeah. I wouldn't pick fashion under a Venus debilitation time. That kind of goes back to the original
Right,
point.
exactly.
It's just
yeah.
this now. But to be fair, this could also be a person who is highly intellectual, and so they're not worried about their clothes. They might be just thinking about other things that are more important. It could be like the brilliant professor who looks like a janitor kind of thing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Music. Again, this is hard because, Venus's debilitation kind of makes creativity lacking, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like AI and music.
Right.
It's
Yeah, I
not-
think you're right.
Yeah, it's not a time. You know what's actually interesting now that we're thinking about it? I love to listen to music, and I haven't really been in the mood.
Mm-hmm.
That although I was listening to LL Cool J right before this. Which, that was just
Can that be the music pick?
I don't think that's the music pick. I think it's just an algorithm coincidence.
Okay.
But like this, in the morning I'll often put on music or listen to mantras or something, and I was like, I prefer silence. I don't feel inspired at this time. That being said, it might actually be a good time to work on like detailed music production. Like I'm working on editing some production tracks right now, and that is very good in Virgo. Like run it back, fix this, but not like the concept was written under a different placement, but this might be the refinement time.
Yeah. That makes sense. My
Yeah.
kid is working on like a bunch of tracks that they're refining over and over again. Okay. Anything else we want to say about Venus debilitation and other transits and or this time of year?
Light your candles. More so for debilitated sun.
Yes.
But this is the time of year to just kind of bring it all in.
And we can also, for this Venus debilitation, we can make the mundane very beautiful, like folding laundry with devotion and like, just being really aware of our beauty and self-care routines as devotional and as sadhana, as practice itself.
Also, it's a nice reminder that health is beauty. Virgo
Yes.
is a place where we really interact with our health and health routines and well-being. And even if you're dressed kind of schlubby, like right now I'm not wearing very flattering clothing, but I'm not really actually lacking confidence because I feel fit underneath my clothes. Like that's kind of like a Virgo, Venus in Virgo energy is like if you're really focused on taking care of yourself, the superficial is not that important because you kind of can, well, I don't feel like I'm glowing right now, but you could theoretically glow through any bad haircut if you needed to.
Well, and also I think that this goes to the point that when we are beautiful and shining and radiant, and I don't mean that in like a superficial way, this is our ojas, this is our radiance, this is our health. And Venus is Shukra. Venus is our every planet relates to a layer of the tissues, and Venus is Shukra, which is our reproductive tissue, which is the very end byproduct of perfect digestion. Without perfect digestion, nutrients don't get transmitted through the layers of the self, and there isn't any Shukra, there isn't any of our vital essence. And so this is this relationship between beauty, health, vitality, and then our reproductive radiance or something,
Reproductive radiance.
right?
Hmm.
Hmm.
And I
Shall I
think,
tell a myth?
oh yeah.
Okay. So once upon a time, and long, long ago and far, far away, and simultaneously right here and right now, there was a war, as there often is, between the Devas, the gods of light, and the Asuras, who are desire and ambition. So, in many ways, this is our so called positive thoughts, our so called negative thoughts. And as we've spoken about, the Devas had their guru, who is Brihaspati, or Jupiter, who is very wise, very righteous, can be a bit smug even because he's so beneficent. And Brihaspati gave the devas their mantras and rituals and protections, but the asuras had no teacher, no guru. And so when the devas and the asuras went to war, which they often did, every battle left the asuras completely broken. And they got completely eradicated. They stood no chance because they had no weapons, they had no mantras, they had no rituals. And from their suffering rose up this call for understanding. They wanted a teacher who understood desire as a sacred force, not as sin. And that call reached out to Shukra, or to Venus. And so Shukra, whose name really means brightness or semen, the essence of creation, looked
Sorry.
down upon these dying asuras, and Shukra developed this great compassion. And he saw in the asuras like this same spark that burns in all living beings, this longing to live and to taste existence and its fullness. And so Shukra said, I don't want to be with those who are like sterilely righteous. I want to be with the ones who are desirous, the ones who understand desire. And so Venus became the guru of the asuras, the guru of the demons. But teaching the asuras was really difficult because every time they fought, they fell down. And then every time they rose up, they got slain again. And so Shukra taught the asuras the secret of immortality. Shukra, Venus, wanted to know what is this secret of immortality. And so Shukra went into seclusion and performed this very, very fierce tapas, this very fierce, austere austerity. So he stood on one leg, fasting for thousands of years. And his breath got slower and slower and slower. And even the devas thought that he would die from standing on one leg in a storm of smoke. And finally, Shiva, the god of transformation, the god of yoga, appeared before Shukra, wreathed in his serpents and ash-colored and wild. And Shukra bowed to Shiva and said, I seek the knowledge to restore life for those who suffer in shadow. Hand pink waving, hand pink waving, hand pink waving, says AK in our comments. We'll come back to you in a minute, just hold on. So Shiva was moved by compassion and taught Shukra a very, very powerful mantra that could raise even the dead. And with this mantra vibrating inside of Venus, Shukra, Venus, returned to the battlefield. And he knelt by the corpses of the asuras and whispered this secret sound into their ears. And one by one, they stirred and they woke up, and their desire breathed again. And the devas trembled because no matter how many times they struck, the asuras would rise up. And Venus had given them this power of resurrection. And this is the power of the heart to rise after the fall. And this is what you are pointing to in after Venus gets her debilitation, then she comes into her own place in Libra. And so this is this beautiful story about resurrection, and that Shukra becomes the planet who heals and teaches through love. And the way that artists find beauty in imperfection. This is the creative impulse, because what is Shukra, our vital essence, except for the creative impulse? And so when Venus enters Virgo, debilitation, it's not that it's weakness, it's this resurrection of the dead without glamour, right? And so there's also like this secondary myth here that even divine teachers meet their tests. So when the Asura king Bali performed this great sacrifice to claim heaven, Vishnu became disguised as a dwarf, asking for only 3 steps of land. And this is the myth that relates to the nakshatra, the star sign Shravana, and the 3 steps of Shravana. This is Vishnu taking the underworld, the middle world, and the heavens. And Shukra watched this in a disguise and shrank himself into a speck and hid inside the spout of a ritual vessel to block the flow of consecration water. But Vamana, this dwarf, pierces the vessel with a blade of straw, and the straw stabs Venus in the eye, blinding him on one side. And Shukra emerges with one eye bleeding. The vision is changed. And in this way, Venus cannot see outer beauty as before. He only sees the radiance within, and this is the trade of physical sight for spiritual vision. And this is really the energy of Venus in debilitation, is the beauty beyond glamour, and eventually service as devotion.
Which is the exalted nature of Venus. So
yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So we said that we were going to respond to people who gave us comments, and we have this person AK who has hand pink waving, hand pink waving, hand pink waving.
I think it's
an emoji. Yes, it is. I just like to say it that way because it's funny.
We can't see the emoji on our software. We can only see the text. What's that called? Like the text translation of it. But
right. Exactly.
But we're happy to be greeted.
Yes, exactly. If you have any questions for us, you can ask. We are happy to answer any questions. Yeah. Any final thoughts about Venus debilitation?
This is a particularly intense cycle of debilitation for Venus due to the fact that it is aspected by Saturn in Pisces.
Yes.
So there's a little extra, a lot extra kind of austerity and kind of a grind and a karmic element associated with this. So it could feel, at the level of the mind, it could feel very difficult. But it's also very purifying. I would say this is a purification process, and it is not a very long transit.
It's less than a month.
Yeah. Yeah. And, we have other things always going on, of course, in the sky. We can speak a bit more about sun debilitation as we get closer to the end of October, in the next couple of weeks. I don't think that there's any other planetary news that I wanted
Do we
to
want to
add.
briefly talk about Mars and Mercury sitting in Libra?
That's a difficult both conjunction and placement for that conjunction.
It's
And what's
irritating. I think it's
irritating.
just irritating.
It's irritating, and the reasons why are that neither one of those planets is particularly well placed in Libra, and they are inimical to one another. So it's like, we've been using this concept of like a house party, and it's like these two characters are not friends, and they don't really like the house where the party, like they don't like the party or each other. So it's just not a great situation.
It's not a great vibe.
It's not a great vibe. What's interesting is we were talking about how after this long 3 signs in a row ending in debilitation transit that Venus makes through Cancer, Leo, and then debilitation in Virgo, enters Libra with kind of great relief. And so it's like Libra right now is very agitated by this current occupation. And as that ends and Mars moves into own sign of Scorpio, then we get Venus moving into Venus. It's like Venus is going to come home and be like, who threw this really shitty party at my house? While I wasn't here, I'm going to clean up and invite my my sweet friends over and
lounge on some velvet couches, put on my beautiful silk clothing, like dip my exactly
clean napkins, run the laundry, just like really tidy up. And then Mars and Mercury will carry on into Scorpio. Mercury isn't particularly well placed in Scorpio, although one of Mercury's nakshatras at least is there, but Mars will be more stable, although will also be combust by a debilitating sun.
Mars and Mercury are going to go on into Scorpio and do some extreme sporting events or something, or like do some extreme diving in cenotes. Like they're gonna, but it right.
Interesting. Yeah, nice.
Wouldn't you say? Like the cenote, the underground cave is a Scorpio.
Yeah.
That is Scorpio. Water held inside a cave underground that can get turbulent, and Mars in Scorpio is going to feel very comfortable to dive down and see what's at the bottom of that cenote, which could be like an underground volcano or something. But that's going to bring a lot of energy, a lot of like forward going energy, a lot of a lot of extreme energy and interest in going to the extreme depths, right? And Venus is going to take care of all of the beauty on the outside when it's in Libra. Yeah. But I don't think she'll just be cleaning and creating a nice environment like that, right?
No, she's got to clean up from the party, but then it's more about like get out the cute stuff. It's like when when people kind of turn over their housewares for the season, it's like let's put out the autumn, I don't know, tablecloths and napkins and throw cushions and outfits and accessories and invite people over and get the music on, and like it's fun, it's social. This is also very social.
Venus in Libra is very social, right? And so this could bring good energy for our fall party season that we're going to have here in the West with Halloween and then Thanksgiving and all of that.
And actually the perfect way to kind of sum up everything we've talked about, because we were talking about inner light during times of debilitation, especially solar debilitation and the lighting of candles and lamps, with Sun debilitated in Libra and Venus in own house of Libra, which will overlap, it's totally like scented candle season. It's like people lighting the fancy smelly candles and like excessive, like put them all over the house kind of thing. That's totally the vibe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, transit news is updated. We will have, let's just give how long Venus is going to be debilitated for. So let's see. Back here, we are now at October 14th. Venus is debilitated all the way through until, and this is not a good time to all the way through until November 2nd. And then Venus goes into Libra, at which point Mars will have already entered into Scorpio with Mercury. And Venus will be in Libra with the Sun, who is debilitated by November 2nd. This is
Jupiter exalted. Won't Jupiter be reaching exaltation? That's a lot of interesting transits.
It's a lot of interesting transits. And this is, through Venus debilitation, while you may feel like you want to break up with someone or, that your relationship is not going how you would like it to go or something like that, just hold off until Venus goes into her own sign and see how you feel then. And if you still feel that way when Venus is in Libra, then maybe consider taking action, wouldn't you say?
I would say, yeah.
Yeah, if you still feel like your relationship is not serving you when Venus moves into her own or serving whatever, when she moves into Libra, then maybe we have something to look at. But during that debilitation time, relationship is not going to feel good. It's going to be you're going to be doing your taxes in bed. But if that's your thing, then if that's your jam, then awesome.
Or you might just be overthinking things in that realm of the life, like percolating thoughts about feelings that were hurt, things like that.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah. Anyway. Venus in debilitation can really get her feelings hurt because we'll also recall Venus is the princess of the zodiac. And so she is very princess-like. She is princess in the P. And she is going to quite easily get her feelings tread upon because, see, Venus, she wants to be very beautiful, and she does want, in a sense, to be like very kind of worshipped and taken care of, and she's princess. She's a princess.
And right now, she's like. You know what else this feels like is like a princess in her princess gown, but it got dragged through the mud.
Yes, this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
right?
And she's like, "Oh, my dress is dirty."
Yeah. And nobody is fawning over her. See, Venus really likes to have people. I'm not just saying Venus is egomaniac. That's not it. But she likes to go get her nails done and her hair done because she gets this attention, right? And Venus likes getting this attention and likes being the beautiful one. There's a really funny episode of that show Modern Family where the woman, I forget her name. My kid got really into Modern Family for a while, with the very big boobs, who is very beautiful, and that's her whole thing, is being this beautiful very stylish, beautiful, attractive, sexy woman. And she apparently likes to arrive late at parties because then she gets to make an entrance. And there's something in the episode where she has to get there on time because everybody has shamed her for being late all the time, and she hates it. And she actually pretends that she's there late so that she can make an entrance so everybody can be like, "Hello, we're so happy to see you." And that's a bit of the Venus energy. It wants to make an entrance, wants to be fawned over, wants to be the center of attention. And with her in debilitation, she just can't get that. Her dress has gotten muddy and nobody is fixing it for her.
Yeah. Just as a closing note, really, truly do not go get your hair done until November. It's just 2 more weeks. If you can hold out on a haircut.
I had a haircut appointment arranged for next Tuesday, and I rearranged it for November 3rd.
Yeah, exactly. A trim, sure. But if you're thinking about a new hair color or a new style,
I wouldn't do a trim.
Yeah, I mean,
I would not do a trim.
I don't want all the stylists to go out of business during Venus debilitation, but just wait, just hold out. Really,
Yeah,
really.
for sure.
That
Don't do it.
That dream was a message for the collective. It was you're gonna regret this if you do it. So anyway, I think that's enough of that.
I think so too. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.